Good morning and welcome back to the Faith and Formation Podcast. It is Friday, January 16th, and today we're in 1 Corinthians chapter 8. But before that, a few exciting things are coming up. For our teenagers, tonight is day one of the Midwinter Retreat. And we've been announcing it for a while, and we've been talking about it on the podcast and during teen times and all these things, and it is finally here, and we're starting it up. All getting going tonight at 6:30. Come on out. If you're one of our listeners that's around and you want to join us, okay. Let me just say, first of all, you have to be a teenager. So there's one requirement. Requirement number one, gotta be a teenager. So, but if you are a listener, come on out. We'd love to have you. Love for you to be a part. Lots of great stuff's going to be going on, including some game times, some food, some fellowship times, and of course, the main part, all of the preaching. If you're in the area, if you are interested, you want to join us, come on out, be a part. We'd love to have you. That is all kicking off tonight at 6:30. Alrighty, well, this morning we are in 1 Corinthians chapter 8, as is mentioned. Oh, by the way, no Brother Sam today. He's not in, unfortunate, not able to join us. But so no jokes for you. We'll have to wait for next week when he's back. Another quick announcement is that this will be the last one before next Wednesday. This will be the last podcast. So you won't find one on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday morning. Next week on Thursday will be the first one back because we have a very, very busy weekend with the Midwinter Retreat. A lot of times going to be spent in that and spent with teenagers here at church. There will not be a podcast for the next few days. So yesterday and today, of course, are all good. But then the next one will be next Thursday. That'll be the next podcast there for you. So I apologize for the gap, but just keep that in mind as a listener. Alrighty, a careful lifestyle is the title of the devotional this morning. Again, 1 Corinthians chapter 8. Before we go there, let's look at our memory verse for the week. And that is from John 8 and verse 32. It says, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." John 8. Verse 32. All right, a careful lifestyle, our text topic verse comes from 1 Corinthians 8, verse 13, in which it says, "Wherefore, if meat make my brother to offend, I will eat no flesh, while the world standeth, lest I make my brother to offend." Now, this is a very interesting verse, and you really have to have the context that it comes from in order to grasp it fully. Here we have a issue that Paul was dealing with. You see here with the Corinthians, there was a specific thing that was going on, and this ended up being a very good example for other things of a similar type. Now, I'll explain what I mean by that in just a moment. You see here, let me explain really quickly what was happening. There in the New Testament times, there, of course, were a lot of idols and other gods and things that people worshipped. And so Paul heard about this, and he obviously is trying to encourage his church, the church at Corinth, to have God as their first and only God and not be worshiping these other idols and all of that. Well, they're making progress, right? That they're making those decisions, and some Christians are growing well, and they understand that God is the one and only God, and that there's no room for idols or anything. They started to grow past that. Well, then there were some newer Christians that had just gotten saved. They were just growing along, and they were hearing, as a new Christian, that idols were wrong and wicked and should not be worshipped. And so along with that, it made sense that any of the food that was also offered to those idols should not be touched either. That wasn't necessarily a true statement. It wasn't a command given that you can't do that. In fact, the Lord tells us through Paul that it's okay. It's okay to eat that. There's nothing wrong with the meat. It's been given to the idol. There's no need to waste it. And he says there's nothing wrong with that. The one thing they needed to keep in mind, though, was what kind of a testimony were they providing for the people around them, those that were the new Christians that thought that shouldn't be done. Whether, was it wrong? No, it wasn't wrong. But was it something that could potentially be a stumbling block and a bad testimony to new Christians? Yes, absolutely. And so Paul was saying in this passage. He said, hey, look, if I know that I'm going to do this thing that's okay to do, but if I do it, it's going to harm another Christian, especially a newer Christian, then I'm not going to do it. I won't ever eat that meat if it's going to harm that Christian. And so here he's teaching the Corinthians a very valuable lesson. And like I said, one that would be a great example of the type of way that we should live now as well. And that is live in a balanced way, a balanced or a careful lifestyle, right? Are there a lot of things in this world that we can do that are fine? Yes. Yes, there are. Are they okay? Can you do them without it being a sin? Yes, there are a lot of things like that that wouldn't be Christian or good necessarily, but they're not bad, right? And you could do them, but perhaps some other people, some Christians or anybody really that your testimony matters to, might see that and go, what are they doing there? I don't think that's quite right. Or that's something that perhaps they should not be involved in. If it's something like that, then we find ourselves in this same scenario in which we ought to put that away, to put it down, to not do it, not pursue it, because it can be a stumbling block towards someone else. So we have to live a careful lifestyle. There's a whole lot of things that are available to do. We have to be balanced. We have to be careful. We have to ask ourselves, is this going to harm someone else if I do this? And if no, if it's totally fine, then go right ahead. Obviously, we're not talking about sin. Any sin's going to harm other people, and especially it's going to harm us. I'm not talking about that. But something that's not necessarily wrong, but it can be viewed in a bad light, we should stay away from those things. Could be fine to do, but if they're going to harm someone else, we ought not to do them. Well, that's really all we have for the devotional of a careful lifestyle. And, hopefully if you're listening, maybe some things popped into your head and you're thinking, yeah, I can think of this or that or whatever it is that really is, something that's fine to do, but could be viewed as wrong by somebody else. If you've thought of something like that and have thought of people that could be affected by it, you need to make that a matter of prayer. To say, Lord, should I really be doing this? Should this be an action that I have in my life? Or should I give that up knowing that it's going to help other people if I put it away and I don't do it anymore? Maybe take a little inventory in our hearts and our lives and see if there's anything like that we need to take care of. All right, well, that's all for our devotional this morning. Thanks for joining us here today. Before you go, let's go ahead and look at our prayer topic. Today, as you go to prayer for your devotional time, we want to spend a little extra time praying about our church. Could be the ministries, could be the friends that you have at the church, could be whatever specific ministry you're involved in, the staff there at the church, whatever it is. You pick some topics about your church and pray about them, bring them before the Lord. And then for our teenagers specifically, we want to pray for Nico this morning and lift his name up in prayer. All right, well, I hope that you enjoyed our devotional entitled A Careful Lifestyle, and I hope that you'll take a moment to look inward and to ask yourself, is there anything that I can put aside that will help someone else to grow as a Christian? If so, I hope that you'll have the courage and the faith to do that. All right, well, thanks again for listening here and being a part this morning. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.